Introduction. You have already seen that when you change the input value to a function, you often get a different output. For instance, consider an add_5 function that just adds 5 to any number and returns the result. Then add_5, 7, will return an output of 12 equals 7 plus 5, and add_5, 8, will return an output of 13 equals 8 plus 5. Note that no matter what the input is, the action that the function performs is always the same. It always adds 5. But you might instead need a function that performs an action that depends on the input. For instance, you might need a function add_3_or_8 that adds 3 if the input is less than 10, and adds 8 if the input is 10 or more. Then add_3_or_8, 1, will return 4 equals 1 plus 3, but add_3_or_8, 11, will return 19 equals 11 plus 8. In this case, the action that the function performs varies with the input. In this lesson, you will learn how to use conditions and conditional statements to modify how your functions run. Introduction. You have already seen that when you change the input value to a function, you often get a different output. For instance, consider an add_5 function that just adds 5 to any number and returns the result. Then add_5, 7, will return an output of 12 equals 7 plus 5, and add_5, 8, will return an output of 13 equals 8 plus 5. Note that no matter what the input is, the action that the function performs is always the same. It always adds 5. But you might instead need a function that performs an action that depends on the input. For instance, you might need a function add_3_or_8 that adds 3 if the input is less than 10, and adds 8 if the input is 10 or more. Then add_3_or_8, 1, will return 4 equals 1 plus 3, but add_3_or_8, 11, will return 19 equals 11 plus 8. In this case, the action that the function performs varies with the input. In this lesson, you will learn how to use conditions and conditional statements to modify how your functions run. Conditions. In programming, conditions are statements that are either true or false. There are many different ways to write conditions in Python, but some of the most common ways of writing conditions just compare two different values. For instance, you can check if 2 is greater than 3. Print 2 greater than 3. False. Python identifies this as false, since 2 is not greater than 3. You can also use conditions to compare the values of variables. In the next code cell, var_1 has a value of 1, and var_2 has a value of 2. In the conditions, we check if var_1 is less than 1, which is false, and we check if var_2 is greater than or equal to var_1, which is true. var_1 equals 1. var_2 equals 2. Print var_1 1. Print var_2 equals var_1. False. True. For a list of common symbols you can use to construct conditions, check out the chart below. Symbol meaning. Equals equals equals. Equals does not equal. Less than. Equals less than or equal to. Greater than. Equals greater than or equal to. Important note, when you check two values are equal, make sure you use the equals sign, and not the equals sign. var_1 equals 1 checks if the value of var_1 is 1, but var_1 equals 1 sets the value of var_1 to 1. Conditional statements. Conditional statements use conditions to modify how your function runs. They check the value of a condition, and if the condition evaluates to true, then a certain block of code is executed. Otherwise, if the condition is false, then the code is not run. You will see several examples of this in the following sections. If statements. The simplest type of conditional statement is an if statement. You can see an example of this in the evaluate_temp function below. The function accepts a body temperature in Celsius as input. Initially, message is set to normal temperature. Then, if temp greater than 38 is true, Example, the body temperature is greater than 38 degrees Celsius, the message is updated to fever. Otherwise, if temp greater than 38 is false, then the message is not updated. Finally, message is returned by the function def evaluate underscore temp, temp. Hashtag set an initial message. Message equals normal temperature. Hashtag update value of message only if temperature greater than 38. If temp greater than 38. Message equals fever. Return message. In the next code cell, we call the function, where the temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. The message is normal temperature, because the temperature is less than 38 degrees Celsius, temp greater than 38 evaluates to false, in this case. Print, evaluate underscore temp, 37. Normal temperature. However, if the temperature is instead 39 degrees Celsius, since this is greater than 38 degrees Celsius, the message is updated to fever. Print, evaluate underscore temp, 39. Fever. Note that there are two levels of indentation. The first level of indentation is because we always need to indent the code block inside a function. The second level of indentation is because we also need to indent the code block belonging to the if statement. As you'll see, we'll also need to indent the code blocks for elif and else statements. Note that because the return statement is not indented under the if statement, it is always executed, whether temp greater than 38 is true or false. If, else statements. We can use else statements to run code if a statement is false. The code under the if statement is run if the statement is true, and the code under else is run if the statement is false. Def evaluate underscore temp underscore with underscore else, temp. If temp greater than 38. Message equals fever. Else. Message equals normal temperature. Return message. This evaluate underscore temp underscore with underscore else function has equivalent behavior to the evaluate underscore temp function. In the next code cell, we call this new function, where the temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. In this case, temp greater than 38 evaluates to false, so the code under the else statement is executed, and the normal temperature. Message is returned. Print, evaluate underscore temp underscore with underscore else, 37. Normal temperature. As with the previous function, we indent the code blocks after the if and else statements. If, elif, else statements. We can use elif, which is short for else if, to check if multiple conditions might be true. The function below first checks if temp greater than 38. If this is true, then the message is set to fever. As long as the message has not already been set, the function then checks if temp greater than 35. If this is true, then the message is set to normal temperature. Then, if still no message has been set, the else statement ensures that the message is set to low temperature, message is printed. You can think of elif as saying, okay, that previous condition, example, temp greater than 38, was false, so let's check if this new condition, example, temp greater than 35, might be true. Def evaluate underscore temp underscore with underscore elif, temp. If temp greater than 38. Message equals fever. Elif temp greater than 35. Message equals normal temperature. Else. Message equals low temperature. Return message. In the code cell below, we run the code under the elif statement, because temp greater than 38 is false, and temp greater than 35 is true. Once this code is run, the function skips over the else statement and returns the message. Evaluate underscore temp underscore with underscore elif, 36. Normal temperature. Finally, we try out a case where the temperature is less than 35 degrees Celsius. Since the conditionals in the if and elif statements both evaluate to false, the code block inside the else statement is executed. Finally, we try out a case where the temperature is less than 35 degrees Celsius. Since the conditionals in the if and elif statements both evaluate to false, the code block inside the else statement is executed. Evaluate underscore temp underscore with underscore elif, 34. Low temperature. Example calculations. In the examples so far, conditional statements were used to decide how to set the values of variables. But you can also use conditional statements to perform different calculations. In this next example, say you live in a country with only 2 tax brackets. Everyone earning less than $12,000 pays 25% in taxes, and anyone earning $12,000 or more pays 30%. The function below calculates how much tax is owed. Def get underscore taxes, earnings. If earnings less than $12,000, tax underscore owed equals 0.25 asterisk earnings. Else, tax underscore owed equals 0.30 asterisk earnings. Return tax underscore owed. The next code cell uses the function n underscore taxes equals get underscore taxes, 9,000. Bob underscore taxes equals get underscore taxes, 15,000. Print n underscore taxes. Print Bob underscore taxes, 2,250.0. 4,500.0. In each case, we call the get underscore taxes function and use the value that is returned to set the value of a variable. For n underscore taxes, we calculate taxes owed by a person who earns 9,000. In this case, we call the get underscore taxes function with earnings set to 9,000. Thus, earnings less than 12,000 is true, and tax underscore owed is set to 0.25 by 9,000. Then we return the value of tax underscore owed. For Bob underscore taxes, we calculate taxes owed by a person who earns 15,000. In this case, we call the get underscore taxes function with earnings set to 15,000. Thus, earnings less than 12,000 is false, and tax underscore owed is set to 0.30 asterisk 15,000. Then we return the value of tax underscore owed. Before we move on to another example, remember the add underscore 3 underscore underscore 8 function from the introduction? It accepts a number as input and adds 3 if the input is less than 10, and otherwise adds 8. Can you figure out how you would write this function? Once you have an answer, click on the Show Hidden Code button below to see the solution. Example, multiple elif statements. So far, you have seen elif used only once in a function. But there's no limit to the number of elif statements you can use. For instance, the next block of code calculates the dose of medication, in milliliters, to give to a child, based on weight, in kilograms. Note, this function should not be used as medical advice, and represents a fake medication. Def get underscore dose, weight. Hashtag dosage is 1.25 milliliters for anyone under 5.2 kilograms. If weight less than 5.2, dose equals 1.25. Elif weight less than 7.9, dose equals 2.5. Elif weight less than 10.4, dose equals 3.75. Elif weight less than 15.9, dose equals 5. Elif weight less than 21.2, dose equals 7.5. Hashtag dosage is 10 milliliters for anyone 21.2 kilograms or over. Else, dose equals 10. Return dose. The next code cell runs the function. Make sure that the output makes sense to you. In this case, the if statement was false, and all of the elif statements evaluate to false, until we get to weight less than 15.9, which is true, and dose is set to 5. Once an elif statement evaluates to true and the code block is run, the function skips over all remaining elif and else statements. After skipping these, all that is left is the return statement, which returns the value of dose. The order of the elif statements does matter here. Reordering the statements will return a very different result. Print, get underscore dose, 12. 5. Make sure this makes sense to you. Once you're ready, use the link below to move on to the exercise. Your turn. Use what you have learned to write your own conditionals and conditional statements.